While the bone broth is cooking on the stove, this has been a total treat of mine. It's goat milk, raw goat milk from a farm Sjedens. That's from it's pretty far away. But that's been a huge one that I'm having every day and after workout. Bang. So in regards of like supplements and just boosting the gains a little bit, I've got Colostrum from a cow, IGF-1 spray, so like insulin growth factor 1 is created by your liver. It's an anabolic hormone, right? So good liver, good IGF-1. This will just kind of boost it a little bit. I've used it before. I felt the difference anyway, so I think it's a good one to routinely use. And then I've got some goat whey that I'm gonna put in my goat milk, right? So I'm gonna take this one first, and then I'll make my goat shake afterwards. All right, here we go with the whey. Bang. Take a full scoop, and colostrum will be like half a scoop because I just want to make sure that like I'm not overstimulating some stuff. Like if you're lactose tolerant, right, then it's all good. If you're not super lactose tolerant, maybe it's best to build up the amounts. I kind of like it, so like I think my lactose tolerance is increasing anyway, right? So this is the goat milk, Sjedens. It's good stuff. Let's see if we can, there we go. Bang. That's the stuff. That's the creme de la creme. Some salt. Boom. That's the goat shake. So when it comes to using any type of practice as a means, as exposure therapy. So what I mean by that is, well, in this video, like there will be two concrete examples. The first one will be skateboarding, as you see here, and the second one will be movements that I injured myself with. So the first thing you saw, like the first skateboarding video, me clumsily going up that ramp, which is relatively steep, but regardless of how steep it is, really it's just about me conquering my fear by exposing myself to it in the smallest degree possible. So where did that fear come from? It's really old, has an old fear, probably 20 years ago or something when I started skateboarding, so around 10, 11, 12. When I tried to do vert, which means like taking these ramps, and I just took too many falls, which resulted in me just being afraid of being on a ramp, like in general. Like I stayed away from it all the time, right? And then you can see that little by little, like when we go through
That's the funny part.
This process, that I'm just trying to, you know, take it a little bit at a time. Like I'm going up and down, I'm trying to find my balance, I'm trying to find my way, I'm keeping my experience or like my awareness open so that I can be as immersed in the experience as possible, right? Because in essence, what is the most important is that you're breaking the prediction versus observation cycle. So my prediction obviously is I'm going to get hurt, right? This is dangerous. So my prediction is fear because I'm afraid not just of getting hurt, because that's like one thing, but that the fear, depending on, you know, how severe it is, and for me it was quite severe, is that it's a threat to my survival, right? That's how the nervous system works. It's like this is gonna impede on my survival, so we're not doing this. So in order to break this loop, right, you just want to make as many small observations as possible that like, hey, this is okay. So this was literally just like my way of doing that. So I got on the ramp, and my friend Dean here, who lives in Oslo, this is a Torshov-parken in Oslo. We just started off small. Just gave me some pointers like do this and do that, and you just move with the board, right? And then you can put a little bit more emphasis on like where your weight is and like how you turn your head and stuff like that. So these things, like, even though they seem insignificant, right, this is where it starts. And like the idea of exposure therapy is that each time you increase the exposure. So that's the idea of behind, like, okay, I'm just, each time I'm going to skateboard there or at a ramp, I'm just gonna try a little bit and try a little bit more and try a little bit more until I'm as comfortable as I would be doing these things, which is really what matters the most in exposure therapy, that you just get exposed to it enough so that the observation changes, seeing that nothing happens. And if nothing kept happening, then we can let go of our fear, because the prediction will change, like, hey, yeah, it's right, it's safe, nothing is going to happen, right? So when we put that into like dealing with injuries, right? So I had a anterior shoulder dislocation, anterior just meaning that my shoulder slipped to the back, right? So instead of dislocating to the front, it dislocated towards the back, which is very uncomfortable. And I did that in this windmill position. So what I'm doing here is actually combining two things, where the one is the bent press, which is a really good way to stabilize the shoulder in a more complex way. And then the other one is the windmill, which is the actual exercise in which I injured my shoulder, or both of them actually. So my idea here is just kind of the same. This is, I think, an 8 kilo kettlebell. I've done it with 10 as well, which is just exposing myself to this range as many times as possible so that I would experience this prediction change and that I stop being fearful, and at the same time start creating that stability and that capacity to handle these loads in these awkward positions, right? Which is what injured me in the first place, that I was unstable. So building that stability, breaking the fear.